All right, welcome back. So now we're gonna wrap this up. So the odd things you see, the square and stuff, we're gonna sort that thing out. So, and also, this is the thing. You see, there is some weird values going on here. So you can't really debug it so easily as before, and it looks really weird. And that's because we have this absolute world. This one make things looks a little bit weird here. So, but you need this node transform absolute world to world to make this work on other location, as you see here. So you see this splash. And so the downside is when you make the decal work in all the locations in the world, you can't really debug it as easily. So for now, I'm just gonna have the decal in the center here. So if I so let's see what. So if I do here, I plug it here. Now you see the values again, and it's easier to debug. So I'm gonna plug this back in the end. So now you see we got this weird looking thing, but I'm just gonna make sure that we look from the above like this. And if we change the scale on the sphere so we can see it works, right? And so it's easier to debug. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to sort this square. So that's a normal error. So maybe that was when we had this one, you could actually see that this gives an error. So maybe it's good in a way to have it. And but I'm gonna have it like this instead. So what's happening here is when we add the ripples here, I think the reason is that we get this thing is because we have some non-number values in the shader. So what we can do, if we do a maximum, so the values is 0, or if it's more than 0, it's going to be the other values. And if we plug this one in the normal, this plane is a normal error. And if we do save, so we kind of caught that error. So now we have that sorted out. So let's see if we have everything. So we could add the splash position. We have the noise amp, have the size, sharpen, opacity, and we also need 2 more splash because we want to not have it splash all the time. We just need to control the splash. And we also, of course, want the color. And we could also add the smoothness, and also add not a vector 2, but we can actually just copy paste it and do metallic. So we want the metallic and smoothness here. So we have the smoothness down here and the metallic, if you would like to change that value, and change to a slider, and the color we're gonna have here, we're gonna copy, have the green as the default. So we pull the color in here, And the opacity, we don't have dealt with that yet. So we need, let's see here. So we have the alpha. We have the 2 alpha here. So what we just do, we do this one and multiply. And have the opacity. So what we took down here is the color mask, right? So if we have the opacity here, let's set that to value of 1 for now. And then we just plug this one in here. So we have the opacity linked up. And we also need to fix the splash. So the splash gonna be controlled over here. So this is the mask that decide to show the ripples, right? So what the easy thing we can do, if we do the splash here and we do a multiply, and we take the splash, bam, and now we control it with the splash. So we do a slider, and if we save it, and if we also take back this transform node, so it's harder to debug, right? But it doesn't really matter because now we're going to look in the scene. So if we take the project, well, the material, and the color is going to be a green one. We're going to do opacity, we do it full, and the splash, it's only going to be visible when we tell it to. So it's a little bit sharper and than before. And why it is because we have this maximum going on here, right? So I'm just gonna test this and see if I do. So I'm gonna unplug this one again so we can see what's going on. So if we do the splash and pull it to 1, so this value is 0 from 0 to 1 at the moment, and it's doing some sharp edges, as you can see here, right? And we're going to smooth it out, so we can do that over here if we just move these things back a little bit. So after this sign, we're going to do a remap, because what's happening here is that this sign is from 0, 1 to 1, and here we change it to from into the new mapped 0 to 1. And if we do a color mask and we just plug it in here, sample the white value, and if we do the fuzziness 5, you see now it's much more, it's in the right, it's not from 0 to 1, it's from it is into 0 and 1, and it's blurred. So this should be much smoother ripples. So if we save this one and go into the scene, you see we have much more smoother ripples. We could actually don't smooth it so much, maybe just 2 maybe, or 3. Let's do 3. Save. So there you have them. And you can tweak it, of course, but that's good for now. So this weird thing that's happening here is, of course, that we need to plug back this transform node again. So now you see it's under it. It's working as it should. And we could normals. So if we take the material and we do the smoothness, metallic, to crank up normals, more to visualize the normals. We could also down here in the normal node, normal from height, we could change it from do 5 times stronger. If we save that, you see it's much stronger. So you could change it there as well. So here you have it. So what you can do is that if you have a script, so what I did in the start was that I added a rigid body like this, and when you have a rigid body, you can add force to it. So if I had a script that is just jumping around in a circle, so it's adding force up for each bounce, and it's also adding force in a circle. So if I just here do the drag 10, a 5 to make it a little bit slower, maybe up amplitude should be 50, and just add this here. So what this script gonna do, for each collision, it's gonna set this splash from 0 to 1. It doesn't work. There's something going on. Splash, 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 splash. Okay, we need to, let's see, there's something not working. What is it? Oh, it's the wrong material. So this is the material. Makes sense. And if we have the material we've been working on all time, and plug it in. So if we do the splash and do it 0, there's nothing, and 1 going out. So what's happening is in sphere we have this jump script, and it's gonna, each time it collide with the ground, it's gonna set the splash to 1, and then it's gonna, with time.delta time, it's gonna fade away, and then next time it's gonna trigger a new position, and the splash gonna be set to 1. So if you look now, boing. All right, there is not enough power, so maybe 150. Do it one more time. So here you have it. So now it's working like expected. So we can go in and change the size of this one, and we can have sharpen, opacity, and it works really good. And we also made sure that we can move this one in the world wherever we want it, and it's gonna work. So I'm gonna show you the script as well if you want to see it. And so what's happening here is if we do so this is the script. So in update, I just do a goal where I want the next position to be for the sphere, and then I do the body and add force with this new force direction, right? And the body is the rigid body on the sphere, and then the ripple life, so the fade away. I do the ripple life value. I always negate the delta time, and so I always set the float splash in the material. So what this thing do here, it's always decreasing the splash variable, and on each collision that will say when the sphere hit the ground and jump up, it's going to set the ripple life splash to 1, so it starts from full opacity again. And this one is actually an old thing that I'm not using, so we can just delete it like this. So this is the finished script that make the ball jump around like that. So I really hope that you enjoy this, and thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, you can just post them in the comment below.